Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode of Grid Talk Talks the Grid. I am your host, Caitlin Perry, and I am joined with other members of Grid Talk. I'm joined with the co-founders, Aimee and Charley, and our social media manager, Imola. And today we are going to be talking all things Imola, since Imola is this weekend. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very excited to be going back. So I will kick off with the first question to open the board, or should I say open the room. Did we like Imola as a race last year?
Yes, I loved it. I just think like Imola is one of those tracks that it just oozes history. Like the legacy of it is just incredible. It was just so nice to be back racing there. Like I think now F1 just belongs at Imola.
I agree. I think in terms of like a racing layout, I think people were worried, like, are the modern F1 cars going to be able to overtake and be able to not handle the race layout? But obviously Imola was like, I don't want to call it a legacy track, but it's quite a historic track. So the old F1 cars were sort of suited to that. So to see how the new F1 cars, or should I say the modern era of F1 cars, were going to be around that track was interesting. And I don't know about you guys, but I would love to see it as a permanent destination on the F1 calendar.
I 100% agree. I think especially because of the legacy part, I think it's a very cool factor to bring it back into the general racing calendar. But also because I think last year has proven that the modern F1 cars can race on that track and that it's really interesting to watch them. And also I'm a personal very big fan of Imola Cat, and I cannot wait to see her back again this year. I hope she'll be there. I will fangirl a little if it happens, so yeah.
I think the only thing with Imola is a lot was done under strategy and not under like complete and utter, like wheel-to-wheel action. And, normally it's only one track per country. And if I'm going to Italy, it's got to be Monza all day for me over Imola, because I think Imola has a lot of history and that's cool, but Monza for me is the pinnacle of F1, the Tifosi. I know we can have the Tifosi, but Monza for me over Imola, controversial.
I don't disagree in the sense of that Monza isn't a great track as well, but I don't think you can have enough passionate fans, and Imola is one of those tracks that will attract them just as much as Monza will. And especially after like last year, having no fans at track, I think that's proven that the importance of having a passionate fans trackside.
I also think, I know there's technically meant to be like one race in every country. I absolutely hate Paul Ricard as a circuit. I absolutely despise it. I would much rather have a second Italian Grand Prix than a French Grand Prix. Now, I know, like, for all the Gasly fans and the Ocon fans, that's people are going to be like, you're so rude. But I absolutely hate that circuit with every bone and being blood cell in my body. I think it's gross. So I would much rather have Imola. And I think also, obviously, I know we didn't ask for a pandemic. I don't think anyone did. I think going to different tracks is always exciting and breaks up the season. So I think another question or another talking point is, would you like there to be on the calendar like a random race that's like allocated like after the summer break or before, that F1 like picks up a hat, or like the fans get to choose where we go? I think that would be quite a cool thing to do. Or if we could go back to the Nürburgring, for example, because that was another fantastic race. I sound a bit biased now, I'm just naming all of Daniel's podiums, but I think that last year's calendar was great because we didn't get to see the usual standard race calendar. So to break it up and to go to a different circuit that can handle the F1 cars, and okay, yes, it was a bit about strategy, but then also I think most of the teams are going to be focused on strategy when they do go to a different racetrack. So obviously they've never been there before, so they'd rather play it safe and use their data rather than just go, all right, we'll just see what it is. Because at the end of the day, the calendar last year was shorter. So to recap that question, because that was a bit of waffle, do we want a wild card race on the calendar? And would you always put Imola first, or would you prefer another track over Imola to go to as your wild card?
I prefer Mugello. Mugello was so much fun, and I don't think Imola, of all the tracks in planet, I'd be like, yeah, let's go to Imola, because I really like Malaysian Grand Prix. Obviously that got rid of a few years ago, so
I'm so glad you said that. I am Malaysia for the win.
I think honestly, I would have to say Nürburgring all the way, which obviously I'm very biased about because it's in my home country and it's kind of like German racing legacy, I guess. But I gotta say that I really enjoyed watching the race, even though it was crazy.
Need another Grand Prix. Like, I think it's a criminal there is no German Grand Prix when
it's so sad, honestly. It's so sad. It broke my heart. It's kind of like, it was always my dream to go like to German Grand Prix, and now it's not happening. And I'm just like, what? I don't know. I would choose Nürburgring over Hockenheim, if I'm honest.
Ooh.
I don't know. Oh God, I don't want to say something
Controversial. To be honest, I think there does need to be a German racetrack, because if you have something as shit as Paul Ricard and you don't have a German, like, it just doesn't make sense to me, especially if we bring the legacy back to it. Like, if you don't have a German racetrack, considering that some of the best Formula One drivers have been and are German, the logic isn't there. Do you think we're going to have someone unexpected on the podium again this year, or do we think that it's most likely going to be the classic top three rearranged?
Classic is coming. I think the reliability sorted. Even if it isn't the top three, I think Perez would be the next one, probably, like, to replace
Agreed.
Bottas.
Yeah.
Like, shock horror race.
It's either going to be a Mercedes double podium or a Red Bull double podium, and I hate to say it, but I think that's just going to be what it happens at every race this year, especially if the calendar does stay the same. If we go back to Monaco, it's going to be a Red Bull 1-2. I'm going to put that out there now. And then if we go to places like Baku, again, you know, that's probably one of the races we could see someone else have a podium. But in terms of this weekend, I think it's just going to be a classic Mercedes or Red Bull 1-2. I would love to see Checo up there and have a Red Bull 1-2, and then a Daniel podium just to chuck it in for fun. But realistically, I don't think McLaren had a good race there last year, if my memory serves me, considering Renault were on the podium and then Kvyat was behind him, and then Charles was behind Kvyat, I think.
Yeah, I think
correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it was like 7th and 8th. I think they finished just behind each other.
So I don't know whether that was strategy or whether that was difference, but I think it could be even tighter now that McLaren have a Mercedes engine. That could be a factor as well. But yeah, who do we think is going to be best of the rest this weekend?
Honestly, I really think another factor that could play a part is the weather, because it's that early in the year. It's not super hot there yet. There is still some rain going on every now and then. I mean, we have snow all over Europe right now still. So I think weather could be an unexpected factor that could play a part. As for best of the rest, I hope that McLaren can have a good shot, because they have this Mercedes engine by now. They can go. But let's just say AlphaTauri has been super strong. Super strong. I think Pierre is on a run right now. So I think it's going to be one of those two teams.
I wouldn't count amiss an AlphaTauri podium this year in general. And I wouldn't throw it amiss at like any race. And the same with McLaren as well. But I'm looking forward to it hopefully being a Tsunoda podium. I'm hoping that kid gets something this year. Do I think it's going to be at Imola? Probably not. He would need some form of miracle and about 8 safety cars, I think. So I don't think it's going to happen in this race. And I sound biased, and I will always be biased, but I'm hoping that Daniel is best for the rest this weekend. And then that is just what I think. If the Ferraris sort out their, I wouldn't count them out either.
Ferrari's probably up though, because I think cars can pull that car out of P10 to P4, and I think everyone was shocked with their pace, because I think Red Bull underestimated them last race. I actually think, you know, Charles could do it. Get that Italian blood flowing in the Ferrari.
Could you imagine if Netflix are filming with Ferrari this weekend for Imola, and if they get on the podium?
No,
let's just throw it out there and win.
The Netflix is gonna strike.
Let's hope so. Then that means McLaren have more of a chance to finish in the top four. Four. Charley, who do you think your best of the rest is this weekend?
I'm going to be really biased and say McLaren. I know, mind blown. But that's only because, in general, I think they are going to be best of the rest, and like in terms of the season.
In terms of top 5 at Imola this weekend, I'm going to throw a curveball and say Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, Checo, and then Daniel. If anyone disagrees, please say now.
Aye.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Max first, more because that's wishful thinking. Lewis second, and then I'm going Sergio third, and I'm hoping Bottas is going to bottle it, because he wasn't that fast last week in like correlation to where Perez started. I think he's going to have him. And then fifth, I'm going to say Charles.
Wow.
The disrespect, oh man, is disgusting. You are demoted from the fan club. Get out.
I'm here for controversial opinions.
That's fine. We love that. I will stick to the loyalty. It's fine. Anybody agree or disagree with Aimee? You do.
I think I would really like to see Max on top. He was the stronger car last week, I think. So I think he has a great chance of ending up on top this time. Hamilton second. I agree with the factor that I would like to see Checo Perez on third, even though I think Bottas still isn't out of the mix at all. So it's either Checo or Valtteri in third, and the other one in fourth. But then for fifth, I'm like, holy cow, who am I going to choose? I'm going to say Pierre Gasly.
Bold.
I'm going to disagree with all of you.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to go Lewis first.
Yeah.
Then Max. Then Checo. Then Valtteri. Then Daniel.
Another one for Daniel in the bag. Interesting.
Fifth. I want him fifth. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, but
no faith. No faith.
The main battle, like aside from Hamilton and Max, is going to be the Ferrari and McLaren P3 battle.
Agreed.
I think. So I get like where you're coming from, but was it just? I mean, like Daniel had a lot of damage in Bahrain, like, and was it that was just holding him back ever so slightly? Do you know what I mean? Like it could have been
so.
Different. So I would put McLaren ahead of Ferrari at the moment, but.
And we've also got to bear in mind, Daniel's only been in that car maybe like how many times? I can count on my fingers, not even. So he hasn't felt the full race pace, especially when he did have damage on his floor. So I'm excited to see what he does get out of that McLaren at race tracks that he's raced at a lot. I'll be very interested to see what the King of Monaco does at Monaco in a McLaren. I'm very excited for that race. Well, we'd be very interested to hear your top 5 and your random bold predictions. So let us know who your top 5 are and who's going to finish last and who's going to be the first to DNF. We'd be very interested to know. Oh, also, who do you think is going to get the fastest lap this weekend?
Super Max.
Super Max.
Max.
Everyone agree? Max.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Checo.
Ooh.
I'm going to say Checo, just to add a little spice to it. So that is all for this week for Grid Talk Talks the Grid. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, ladies, for all of your wonderful opinions and insights this week. We will be back in a couple of weeks with another episode. We hope you have a lovely race weekend. We are very excited for racing to be back and cannot wait to hear your guys' opinions for this week and your predictions. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and on Instagram. We also have a TikTok. All of those links will be in our Twitter bio, and make sure that you check out our most recent blog post this weekend. We are talking about all things Formula One, and we also talk about other motorsports as well. We aim to post as many blog posts as we can during the week across multiple motorsport series, so make sure you are checking those out, and make sure you share this with your friends. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend and enjoy the race and stay safe.